Right, so quick recap what we've done. We're busy with this paper with the estate. Question 1, they said they gave us these attributes. 3.1.1, they said create a constructor create that will receive, which means parameters, 2 strings, and then assign them, and then also make f cell 0. So in our program, we made our constructor create with 2 strings. We assigned the parameters to our attributes, and then they said this if cell must be 0. So we just did that. Then we went to create an accessor for get cell that will return. So they told us it's a function. So we created the function get cell amount that will return a real. And then we said the result is our if cell. And then we did the mutator that will receive, which is parameters. So I'm not going to go there yet. It's just too quick. And then provide the calculate commission that we did with our if statement, where they said a return. So we made that a function. We made that a function because it will return money. Created a variable. If the property was residential, we timed it by 3%. And if it was commercial or the other one, we timed it by 5% and then returned that. All right. Any questions on last time's work? Or somebody did something you just want some clarity on? All right. Everybody good. So I want to ask, if at all possible, if you can, I want to say, give me the answers a little bit faster tonight, especially 3.1, because I want to get to 3.2 so that we can work on that one. But these three, well, the first two, they're okay, but there's some tricky, so that's why I didn't want to just skip them. All right, so let's have a look here. So we provide code for calculate extra. The method that will calculate and return tells us, like all of you can shout it out at the same time. Yes, well done. Yes. So return is a function. The admin charge based on the following rule. So it goes with a sale amount, which we've got, and then we just work out that fixed percentages. So we don't need anything, and they said we're not receiving anything. That means no parameters. All right, so we know function, we know calculate extra. All right, so we go to the top, to our methods. We said it's going to be a function. Calculate extra. We said there's no parameters, so we just leave it out. And this, what we're calculating, is money. So we're working out percentages of money. So do we have a fourth part, and what will that be? Yes. So we will have a fourth part, and it will be real, because this is our return type, because it's a function. Then we must have that. Then we go Control-Shift-C. All right, and now let's go same route. Let's create a variable for ourselves. It's called extra. This is our real thing that we're going to return. All right, and now they just said, depending on the sale amount, if the sale amount is there, then we're going to have to pay 1.5% of the sale amount. All right, who wants to guide me? How do I do that? Yes. All right, or if you just go, because it's less than, we can just 200,000. All right, so if you added that, that's fine. I wouldn't though, because the question didn't ask you to cover for it. So maybe that's one thing to learn from this. They would have said, like in a one-liner here, please, if the person types in a value below 0, give them an error message or whatever. Then we do that. But because they didn't ask for it, I would advise you not to do it, because if you make a mistake there, you will lose marks. But if you do everything right, you won't get any extra marks. So you're literally doing a piece of code, sort of taking a little bit of a chance for no extra marks. So you literally just do what they ask. Don't try to do more or overthink anything. They said between this and then 1.5%. So let's just stick with that. So if the F sale amount is less than 200,000, then what? Yeah. All right, everybody good to this one. So because they just told us here that it will be 1.5% of the sale amount would be the extra charge for that. So our next one is to 800,000. Here you'll see the 800,000 is included because 801 is on this side. So remember, yes, ask me. 100%, yes, you could have gone just result there here. But we will do, we'll at the end just say result is equal to extra. But yes, you could just put result there and then you don't need the variable. Yeah, 100%. All right, now we can just go our else if. Remember how the else if works? It covers for if this one is not true. So we don't need to check that it's less than 200,000 because that's already covered there. So we just need to check if our if sale amount is less than the 800,001. No, so that's why I try to focus on this now as well. Um, Remember, that's how your else if works. It's only gonna look at this one if this one is false. And the only time this is false is if it's more than 200,000. So it will only get to this if it is 200,000 or more. Yes. Yes. But if FSL is 50, it will do this one. And then ignore everything else. Yeah. Yes. And start top to bottom. So it will check this one. If this is true, it's going to do this and ignore all other else ifs. Only if this one is false, it will look at this one. And only if this one is false, it would look at the next one, which needs to be, what's it, 1.3 million, yeah? Yes, yes. Um, then this one, and then that's it for everything else. So then we'll have our else. All right, so having this structure, then everything is sorted. Then, because if this one is true, it's going to ignore all of these ones. Only if this one is false, it will look at this one. And if this one is true, it will ignore these ones. But only if both of these two are false. So it means if it's more than 800,000, then only it will check this one. And only if it's more than 1.3 million, then it will look at this one, which is then everything else. 2, 3, 4. Of the else if is that they are linked to each other. So you don't need to worry. The only important thing with this is you have to follow a sequence. So like you could have gone there like that also. But you could have gone, if you wanted to, with a question, started bottom up. So you could have said, all right, if it's more than 1.3, do that. Else if it's more than 800, else if that. So you could also go the reverse, which is fine, but you have to go in sequence. You can't go that one and then that one. So you'll see like mine, we first had to check the 200,000, then the 800, then the 1.3, and then everything else. So it needs to follow a sequential order. But then this works perfect, yeah. Okay, that one is 3% and that one's 4%. All right, and then, yeah, we need just our result because it's a function to just send that answer back. So as you said at the start, if you wanted to not have this variable, you could have just said the result is that, the result is that, the result is that, or result is that. And that's also fine. Any questions on this one? All right. Okay, then we go next one. The next one, we want to write code for a method called update sale amount that receives tells us what again? Yeah, oh, well done. We on a roll. It looked like we woke up this time. All right, so yes. All right, so we receive, that means two parameter values. The first parameter is a commission amount. The second parameter is extra charges amount. So both amounts. Then we have to update the F-sale amount by adding these two values to it. So we do not have a return. So not having a return, it tells us. Yes, well done. So basically something you will realize, this one changes an attribute. So sort of a, I want to say a rule that comes through with all of these ones. Generally, if you're not returning something, you are changing an attribute. It's either or. So you'll see like this one, it's returning something. This one's not returning, so it changes the attribute. This one is returning. This one is returning. This one is not returning, but we're changing an attribute. This one is returning. This one is not returning, but we're changing attributes. So it's sort of that choice that either when it's a procedure, you're going to change the attribute, or when it's a function, you'll return whatever you're calculating. All right, so this one we are updating attributes, so we're happy. Receiving two things. Update sale amount. Okay, let's go. So we go up. We said it's a procedure. The name is update sale amount. We said we do have parameters, and there's two values, both is real. Just see what they are again. So it's a commission amount and the extra charges. Remember, you can, because we're creating parameters now, you can call it whatever you want to. So I'm going to call mine a commission amount and extra charges. Both of them are real. And then because it's a procedure, there is no fourth part. Everybody good? All right, sounds like it. Perfect. Then we go Control Shift C. Now, yeah, now let's quickly see what they said again. So they just said we're going to receive these two. Then they say update the F sale amount by adding these two values to it. All right. Yes, ask me. All right. So generally, if they don't give you, or let me rather say, if they ask you to create the attributes, they generally give you a table like this in any case. And then they sort of tell you what you must call it. So if they give you the name, then use the name they ask for it. So if they give you a name, say call this F sale amount, and then you don't, you might lose a mark for it. But even like in the constructor, they don't ask you, or they don't tell you what to call those parameters, and then it's fine. With this one, the first parameter is the commission amount, and the second parameter is the charges amount. So they're sort of telling you what you're receiving, but they didn't say it should be the names of it. So of these 4 marks, none of them would be for your parameter names. So you don't need to worry about that. You'll see calling the methods would be all the marks that's needed for this. Sort of. Yeah, well, okay. But so if they don't tell you what to call it, you can call it whatever you want to. I wouldn't call it num1, num2, but something like what I do. I think I'm stretching the envelope a bit, but it's close enough. I mean, they can see this is commission amount and this is extra charges, and it's fine because after this end, they don't exist anymore. Would you do this in your main program? No, I wouldn't. In your main program, stick with names that means a bit more because your variables lasts longer. And I think that's sort of the idea you have to keep in mind. These parameters are literally just to assign and disappear. So because they live so short, the name doesn't matter so much. If you've got variables that you're going to use a lot, like our attributes, and they're sort of like everywhere, then they need proper names. So short question, no, there's no marks for it in this case. But yes, it depends. If you are worried, I mean, give it a nice name. If you want to call it commission amount, that's fine, go for it. And then better safe than sorry is probably a good thing. But I like to do this, especially now, to just show you guys that these names, they don't need to be the same anyway. You'll see on the other side when we do this now, I'm not going to call it the same. Just so that we can see what you call it doesn't actually matter as long as you keep the sequence. I want to say that's the important part. All right. Then can somebody help me with this? So we want to update the F cell amount by adding these 2 values to it. What do I do? Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's it. And that's literally all you do. That's all that's needed here. All right. Any questions so far? Everybody good? Are you confused? Okay. Yes. Okay. I can. All right. I can see where that came from. I think let's hold on to this question until we go on. All right. Remember your question. Ask me. Put a star there or something so I don't forget to come back to it. But let me just see when we get to 3.2 and we get to that. Important thing, maybe just before we move on off that point, is they literally said we're going to receive those 2 values. And by receiving them, it means that we will get them and you will have them. So having these, when they say you're receiving parameters, it means you've got those values. I think no. So remember, whatever's in there is what you get already. Like you've got this. That's why, like with this new cell amount, we just assigned it. We never sort of did a calculation to give it a value. You assume whatever's in a parameter will have a value. It's a trust game. Difficult, but you just have to. You imagine that if you create a parameter, there will be a value in it. And then you give it. So I personally would have phrased the question differently. I 100% understand what you said, and when I read the question, I initially thought that way. But then, if you read nicely, then they literally just said you're gonna receive these two things, and then you must just add them. So that's all you do. And then we'll come back to your question just now. I think 3.2 will answer your question. All right, then 3.1.7, two-string method that will return. Return tells us function. All right, everything like this. Doom, 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 doom. All right. So once we can somebody just help me nicely through this? I'm going to forget how all these things fit together. All right, so we go up. We say function, yes. Two-string. Yeah. All right, then we've got no brackets because there's no parameters not receiving anything. So we go Control-Shift-C. All right, tell me, what do I do in here? Okay. Did somebody go without variables? All right. Okay, let's go with yours for now. I also like the variable one, but I've been using variables a lot. So let's do one without, so we can just see. Whichever one really doesn't matter. But let me in my answer have one without. All right. So tell me, how do I go without variables? I can't remember. Was it good? Yeah, that was good. Okay. Yes. Okay. 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 Yes. Okay. So what's I couldn't hear that one. Oh, what property price first? We didn't. Yeah. Price. Yeah. Yeah. The two. The, is there rand there? Yes, the rand is there. So we have to do our F. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then F. You said F cell amount. Yeah. Then we do our. Yes. With this particular one, look at our sample output though. Okay, yeah, comma 2, you're right. Never mind. I agree. Okay, go for it. Plus hash 13. What was the next one? Commission amount. Okay. And then the same. But instead of F cell amount, what do we put inside? Which variable do we use there? In here. Where do I get my commission amount from? All right, who wants to help him? What will we put in there? Yes. So remember now we want the commission amount, but we've got a method that does it for us. Calculate commission. So you can just put in that method name, calculate commission there. All right, and then for our admin cost, what do we put in there? Yes, well done. All right, so just see. So the first three, I think, was straightforward. Just our F agent name, F property type, F sale amount. But then the next two was commission and admin cost. And you could see in our sample output, they are different. So there was a calculation made. And then you must just think back and you remember, oh, wait, I do have calculate commission. And I do have calculate extra, which does the admin charge. So when we do that, we just call the method name, just the method name by itself, calculate commission, and for admin cost, just the calculate extra. But we also format it to currency and all those things. All right, let's carry on. Okay, so on this side, any questions before we move on to the main program now? On this side, anything else you want to know about? Literally, to sum this up, important things to remember. I would say, as I told you guys, to maybe print one of these with nice notes. Unit name, this commission you're only going to use by the users section in your other class. And then this class name, tstate, is the one we're going to use when creating the object with our constructor. And then from then on, we're going to use our attributes and our functions to basically call whatever we want to do with this. So this will only be used by users. This is in our creating part. And then these are the methods we're going to call. And with this whole program here, everything we've done here, every time we just ask ourselves, is it returning something or not? What's the name? Are we receiving something or not? And then what is the data type of the thing we're returning? And then we decided that, we Control-Shift-C, and we generally just do the code. So in this program, or this side, this part of the OOP, they really love if statements. This nested if, they love a lot. I want to say 75% chance of you getting like a nested if like this. Well, not a nested if, but yeah, sort of nested if. You'll get there with this. So please be prepared for it. You need to know a if statement like this. And if you don't get it by this question, you will get it in question 1. But yes, so this is key. Try to understand this. If you're not sure, you need to ask. I would actually say, like, delete this and try to do it again just to make sure that you're on the right track. And if you get lost, just look at the notes. The rest, straightforward. Know your flow to string F. They love currency and how to string. And I think that's all that's key on this side. All right, let's go to the other side. Maybe before you go across, click your play button. And just nothing will be worked, but at least you'll know there's no errors on this side. That's key. If you've got errors here, on the other side, you can't do anything with it. It's not going to work. All right, let's go to the other side. All right, now we look at the next question. So now we're on 3.2. Commission U has been declared, and user section of an object state has been declared. All right, let's go look quickly. Show now code. So they gave us this unit, and you'll see commission U is already by the users. So because it's here, you don't need to worry about the unit name evermore. You will never use this again in this program. I go on, and we see the estate object is created. So it's object estate of type class estate. Now we know we're going to have something similar to this that we're going to call when we want to create the object. All right, this one at least have got our buttons for us with the coding in. All right. So what do I do? Let's look at this. All right, first one. Write code for the button create that will read the agent's name from the edit box and the property type from the combo box, and then instantiate an object. All right, let's do the first part. Let's do the input part. Let's just do this. So we want to read the agent's name from the edit box and the property type from the combo box. All right. Let's do variables. So if I want to read something from the edit box, it's my agent name. So my S, let's call it S agent. Agent name will be of type string. Do you agree? So I'm going to go a bit faster because I want to see how quick, if we can get through this before the end of the lesson. Please just stop me. So just say, hey sir, as soon as I do something not wrong. And if you know, like before I type it, please shout it out. I would prefer you guys give me the answers, but yeah, I need to just put a rush on this a little bit. And then the property type, remember property type is also, it's going to say residential or commercial. So that's also a word. So it's a S prop type, property type, which is also a string. All right. And you know you can create them also. I don't know if you guys, you can go like that also. I don't know if you knew that. If you've got multiple variables of the same data type, you can just go the one comma, the other one comma, the other one, and only say the data type once. I can see you guys love shorter ways of doing it. So there's another shorter way. All right, so our S agent. So if I want to get something out of an edit box, how do I do that? So it's my component name. Yes. And if I want to get it out of my combo box, hey, so difficult, eh? All right. Pavan, you were going to say? So there is a long way to do this as well. You have to do two methods. Yes, it's very similar to a radio button where you go your combo box dot get selected. What is the thing? But in any case, there is a long way that you do one method in another method, and you also get it. But this is much shorter. Yes, that's it. Item index will be in the brackets, and then we do dot item on the outside, I think. Oh yes, yeah, yes, because then you're gonna get the 123 or the 012. But the problem with that is we didn't want that. Remember with ours, and remember we're looking for residential. See, if our property type is residential, so we're wanting the strings actually. Yeah. So yes, so that's the correct way. Then okay, now we want to instantiate the object. All right. So now this is the creating of the object. So who wants to try this? I want to say this is the most difficult line, but it's the most critical line. Guys, I can tell you from my class, generally first test, there's at least a quarter that can't create the object. And the problem with that is now you can't test any of your other stuff. If you don't have the object, you cannot test any of the rest of your code. So it's really so critical and you cannot take a chance on not creating it correctly. All right, who wants to try for us? Yes, tell me. Yes. Yes. All right, stop there. I agree 100%. So remember, it's always our object name equals to our class name dot create. That's perfect. And then you'll see at the bottom, they actually guide us. They tell us now we need to give the S agent name, which I just called S agent. Okay, yes, Pavan, carry on. Yes, and we just follow here at the bottom the guide they give us. So the agent name first and then the property type. But here, can you see I'm using the variables that I've been creating here. So you have to use these ones. And then you put them in there, and that's 100%. Now our object's created. Now I want to say the key thing and the difficult part of the program is done. Now it's just autopilot. All right, display a message saying object successfully created. Yes, ask me. Yes. So I want to say the way your questions will be phrased, they will ask you, the first part will be to extract the variables you need, and then they'll ask you to instantiate it. So yes, theoretically in a big program, once you're out of school, you might create more variables and extract more stuff, and then you'll use only some of it to create some objects. But that is, we're talking bigger programs. So it's not a must use all of them, but the way your papers are structured, they will always ask you get the stuff first and then use them to create the object. So in your case, I want to say you'll use everything that you've got. Well, okay. It's always difficult to say never. Remember when we did this in our first lesson, we spoke about a default constructor. And you'll remember that default constructor is the one that was blank. There was no parameters. So, so can you create an object with no parameters? Yes. And that's where the default constructor comes in. But for you guys, I cannot foresee any decent question that's got a space for that. So I do not think you guys will ever need to do it. But just because once you created an empty object, now what now? Then you'll have to use mutators, and it sort of makes the program a bit lomp. I don't know what Afrikaans it's lomp. Clumsy. It just makes the program a little bit clumsy doing it that route. So I'm 99.9% sure you guys will always get a parameterized constructor that you create like this. But can you have a default one? Yes, it is there. You have to learn about a default one. In your theory paper, they'll probably ask you about a default constructor. But it's the only place that I saw where you can actually use it is out of your syllabus. And do you remember when we sorted arrays? We had that temporary variable to do that swap. So if in your syllabus or if in your pad you want to use an array of objects, so for you guys, you always only have one object. But let's say you want to do an array of objects and you wanted to sort them, then you need that temporary one. And that one's ideal for a default constructor object because you just need a blank one to use as a swapping mechanism. So there's a perfect situation where you would want a default object. But other than that, I didn't see a nice use of the default constructor anywhere else. So that's why I can't see them implementing it into your question papers. It sounds really scary, but it's literally, if you understand this and if you understand arrays, it's literally just that together. And it's not actually difficult. It's just difficult if either you don't understand OOP nicely or if you don't understand arrays nicely. Then it's a problem. But once you grasp those two concepts, it's really not difficult actually. But we don't need to worry about it. It is not in your syllabus, so you will never see it. But as I said, if you want to use it in your pad, it is really not difficult. So don't be too scared to shy away from it. And that is seen as one of because there is marks for doing something that is out of the syllabus, and that is out of the syllabus. So you actually get marks for it. But you don't need to do that. You don't need to force it in because you can I'll show you how to put videos and stuff in, and that will also give you that out of syllabus marks. So you don't need to force it in. But if you can see that that's what you want to do, then you can do it. Yeah, no problem. All right. Yes, ask me. Um, so let's say you wanted to use the your login and you want to create objects of that, but then you've got lots of users. Then you might want to read all the users, their name and surname, maybe their telephone number and maybe their password and whatever. And you want to create an object for each one of them. And then if you're the boss, you maybe want to have a list of all the people that could maybe sign in. then, and maybe you want it alphabetically or whatever, so then you can create an array with all the users of your program, and then you can maybe sort it or add people or remove people, all the stuff we generally did with arrays, but then you just do that with your objects of all the users of your programs. All right. But then ignore it. Yeah, don't worry about it then. Okay, object successfully created. So let's just go to our message. Object success. So they just asked us for a message, so we just go show message object successfully created. With these things, spelling doesn't matter, but they do want you to get as close as possible to their message. Don't just, sometimes they are finicky about it. Sometimes not, but sometimes they'll say, if you just say object, they'll say, hey, what are you talking about? So try to just, especially when they show you the message, they said, yeah, object successfully created. Then sort of stick with what they say. All right. Can I assume everybody good? Any questions on this? Create button sorted. All right. Let's go next one. Then 3.2.2, button for button commission that will retrieve the sale amount from the property edit box. All right, let's go bullet for bullet. So look there. So 3.2.2 it's here. Oh, so we must just extract that value and put it in here. All right. So we're going to create a variable. We're getting property value. So what data type would that be? Second? Yes. Real, because it's money. So I agree. So no problem. So our prop value gets the value then. Alright, so I will extract it from the edit box and put it as a real. Okay, string to float. Yeah. Yes. Dot. Perfect. Alright, so now we've got that value. So we've done the first one, now we'll look at the next one. Call the relevant set method to set the sale amount of the house to that. Alright, so now we must just think in our program, which set method do we have where we can set the sale amount? They'll remember. Oh, it's just our mutator they asked us to do. Alright, so who wants to take a chance? How do I call that now from here? Obj state. Yes. Perfect. That's all we do. Yes. 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 100%. Yes, because we'll receive it here. Yeah, it will go into this pot. So it will go there. And we give it to this thing. So now it's our global variable. So now it's up here in our F cell amount. Hundreds. All right. So just a technical thing. On this side, these things are parameters. When we go on this side, these things in these brackets are actually called arguments. So an argument gets sent over and received as a parameter. So yeah, the argument is just on the other side of a parameter. So this is a parameter and this side is called the argument. So don't worry too much. I don't think that question will come out anywhere. But if you, yes, ask me. No, so an argument and a parameter is the same thing. But when we're sending the value, like in this line here, the stuff in the bracket, this prop value, we call this an argument. And it is being sent, and when we receive it here, we receive it as a parameter. So So it's the same thing, actually, it's just in the different program. So when you send it, it's an argument. When you receive it, it's a parameter. Okay. All right. And then our last is one more bullet here. Call the relevant method to output the commission amount in currency correct to 2 decimal places in that label. So we want to display the commission. So now we have to go see what can we do for that thing. So we look on this side and we see, is there one that will show us what the commission is? And you see, hey, calculate commission. That does it for us. All right, so once we take that chance, so they want us to display that in the label, I think they said. Yeah, LBL commission. So what can I do? Yes. Float to string F. Yes, well done. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Well done. Did everybody follow that? Yes, so we want to display it in a label. So it's our label.caption equals. It's money we want to display. So that's why it's our float to string F with our FF currency and comma 10, comma 2. And what do we want to display? Our object, but the calculate commission value. Because by calling calculate commission, it's going to return, it's going to send me a real number, which I can then just format to currency and display. All right, everybody good? Is it getting a little bit clearer? All right. I assume all the silence is good. Yes, ask me. 100%, yes. The only thing is, it's always object dot. So it's your object name, full stop, and then your method name. But yeah. So what this does, yeah. Sorry, carry on, yeah. So if you understand it that way, that's fine. I just want to clarify one thing. Technically on this side, this calculate commission didn't happen yet. Only when we call it now for the first time, once I say object is state, it means this side, and then I say calculate commission. What this does, this sort of activates this side. So it says, hey, do the calculate commission for me. Then this program realizes, oh, I must do something. And it goes to the calculate commission part, and it says, all right, calculate commission, do your job. And what this one will do is it will look then at the property, see if it's a residential, do that. If it's not, do that. And then it calculates the result, and then it sends it over. So it's sort of not like this is not done beforehand. Only when you call it, it actually does it for you. So, but yeah, if you understand it that way, that's sort of like already done, that's fine, because you don't need to sort of 100% understand which sequence it works in for now, but it is better maybe in the long run to just know that. So technically, all these methods we've got here, they are optional methods, I want to say. We don't need to run all of them. You guys will, because I mean, they won't give you a program, ask you to create methods that you're not going to use. but theoretically, you can create methods that you're not going to use. So it's not like they were already done or whatever. It just means as you need them, you can call them and they will do their job. Good. Yes, you are. So remember, this is sort of the helper class. So this is like, I want to say, a handbook or like a toolbox. This is a toolbox with lots of options for you to use. And when you create your program, you call the ones you need. You know, like we've got a flow to string F, and then we've just got a flow to string. So because we've got up here by our users, we've got this system utils. With this one, there's a lot of different methods that's there. We're not going to use all of them. Like our flow to string, we'll most probably not use. But we are using our flow to string F more now. And it's sort of the same way here. You sort of created all these optional methods that we could use when you need them. So now it depends on the user if he wants to use it or not. And then we can call it or not call it. Okay, we're good. Yes. No. The one we did was our toString. Our toString one we did, yes. So when we're going to call the toString, then we're not going to do any of the conversions because they already have the conversions. But when we did this one, we're just returning the amount. We're returning a real, not a string. All right. Then let's quickly go through this. Admin charge one. So this one they say call the method and display the admin charge. So it's exactly the same thing. So I'm just quickly going to skip that one. We sort of ran out of time. So I want to just jump to this last one. We don't need that one for this one. So now they say write code for this button that will clear the rich edit component. So we want to do this one. How do we clear our rich edit again? All right, the first line is done. Next one wants us to call the toString method and display the summary in the rich edit. Who wants to try that? Somebody else wants to try that for us? Yeah. Okay. Very close. Yes. Yes, perfect. So it's always our object name dot method. Yes, talk to me. Always from this class. Remember when it was within the class itself, we just called the method name. Yes. But when it's from the other class, it's always the object dot method. Yes. All right. And then the next part asks us call the calculate commission and the calculate extra method and use these values to update the sale amount. So we want to update the sale amount. So who wants to help us? So this is sort of the key. This is going to answer that question that I think it was Winner and Pavan that you guys had. Who wants to try this line for us? So they say call that one and use these methods values to update the sale amount. So you can do it in one line, but I think maybe we should do it in separate lines. So our time's running a bit out, so I'm gonna do it for you. Just tell me like when I lose you. So we're gonna they said we're gonna call the commission and the admin costs. Both of them are real because we're working with numbers or money. So to get the commission, remember what we do, it's always our object. And to get the commission, we use our calculate commission method. There's my commission done. And to get the admin fee, again, we use our object. And it's called calculate extra, I think. Yes. Should you agree? These two will get me the commission and the admin now. Because they told us in the yes, ask me no one. No, you didn't. You can do it in one line. I'm just doing it this way to make it maybe a little bit easier to understand, a shorter line. But I'll put it, you can do it in one line, yeah, 100%. So they say call this one, which I've done. They said call this one, which I've done. And then they say use these values, which I'm going to do now, to update the sale amount. Then you remember we've got a update sale amount method that needs those two costs. So then we just call our, again, always object first, dot update sale amount. And then you'll see we need to send it the calculate, that's extra cost. This is the commission amount, yes. So we have to send the commission first, and then we have to send the admin fees. See, and then, so then this is where Pavan and, I think it was you and Winner, but you guys wanted to call these methods within this method. But you can see with this question, they sort of phrased it that you only call it now and then send the values across. So it's sort of little stupid because you're going to call that method, get the value, send it here, call the other method, get the value, send it here, and then send both of those values just back again to do the job. So the way, yeah, so your way would have been much more efficient. So bigger scheme of things, yes, bigger scheme of things, your way would have been better. But for you guys, it would have been worse because you didn't follow the instructions. You would have lost marks on this side when creating this method. You would have lost marks. So where is that method? You would have lost marks here because you called the methods that you shouldn't have. And then you're going to lose marks here also because then you guys would not need to have it here. So you guys could potentially have lost like around about 3 marks for doing a better solution. But yes, but not following the instructions. So yeah, no, go. Yes, yes, yes. I, yeah, I think both of you understood it correctly. But the only thing with you guys, sort of see yourself as like a beginner in a company, and then the boss is always right. So if the boss wants it this way, just do it that way. And don't tell him he's stupid and you've got a better solution then. Sometimes it might not go off well. All right. So, and then one is this sort of what you wanted to do? Like this? Yes, and that's perfect. This would have also worked fine. It's just a very, I think this one might be a little bit easier to understand. But yes, if you do it one line, this is perfect. It's exactly the same thing. It's a little bit better because you're not using variables, RAM-wise. Mark-wise, exactly the same thing. So, all right, and then they just want to display the total property of the by calling the get sale amount method. So then we just need it after this to just again hit this one. They told us just to display the, this is not going to work. But then this just needed to be a float to string f. That, all right, something like that. Oh, and there's probably a message in front, I think, that total, yeah. So we just needed to have total there. All right. And I think that's where I'm going to end for tonight. I don't want to keep you guys for long. You've got a long week ahead as well. I have a chat with. Yes, ask me. No problem. Okay, before I do that, just for the people that needs to leave. So I did mention just before the class started, right at the beginning, EHS people, you're writing a theory paper on Friday. So Pavan said he'll go chat with. All right, so technically you don't need to put it into a variable. Personally, I like the going line by line. So I would like to put it in because it's got a separate bullet. I like to do it that way, but you didn't need to. So let's go without, because the other ones we did do it per variable. So we know how to do it. So you can go combine the two and put it in one. So we have to get that, and then we just have to display it in the panel show fees formatted to 2 decimal places. All right. So we don't need to put it in a variable. Tell us, what did you do? Oh, all right. Okay, put it in a variable, and then I'll show you the other way. Or admin. Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah. Whatever you want. Yeah. And then yes. Yeah. All right. Let's quickly see on the other side. So I'll calculate extra. You'll see it didn't have any parameters, but it's got a function, meaning we're going to send something back. So you actually want to say AC will get the value from there with no parameters. Because this one, just look again on this side, calculate extra has got no parameters. So we don't need to send it anything, but it is a function, meaning it's going to send something back. So we don't need to send it anything, but this is going to send something back. So we just have to catch it. We have to put it into a variable so that we can use it. Now we're getting this AC. Oh, okay. So, but this is your first bullet. Yes. And then how does the second bullet go? Yeah. Okay. Flow to string F. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Yes, Pavan asked me. 100%. So that's I'm quickly showing here. So that's how to do the flute. So you'll just go panel show caption equals flow to string F, and then it's your object extra, and then that. And that's perfect. Yes, if you do it without, that's also fine. You don't need to do that. Personally, I like doing that just to go bullet by bullet, especially when you get to your more difficult questions. Just go bullet by bullet and do the pieces you can, and then you can get so many method marks. But yeah. All right, everyone, and that is the whole program.